I believe very deeply in the public school system. I also believe very deeply in just education all the time and in constantly learning. I guess I've always been a teacher. It's just very rarely been in the traditional format, but I really like teaching. My name is Alberg. My business is called Sunflower Knit. It has been my business since 2014. It's branched where I need it to go, and it always comes back to slow fashion and natural dyeing and sustainability within textiles. The thing that's really lovely about slow fashion is that you can enact your values by just choosing what you put on your body each day. You know, fashion is the second largest polluting industry on the planet. And it's also where everything converges, whether it's environmental rights, labor rights, gender rights. Everything comes back to textiles, and there are ways that you can do it in a terrible way that are incredibly detrimental to people, planet, other beings. And there's also ways of doing it in a really holistic way. And so the more that we know, the more we can figure out what is the best choice for us and by extension for the planet. So the first time that I encountered and interacted with MCIC was back in 2005 at a Generating Momentum conference. I had this fantastic high school teacher, Mr. Schmidt, who took me and a few other students to Generating Momentum conferences. It was the first time that I went to any sort of conference at all, I think. You know, when you're like a really politically active teenager who is also like just getting started, it can be kind of weird because your peers are not necessarily at that same kind of level of being engaged civically yet. Hopefully they get there. So to be surrounded by folks that were just as engaged and in a lot of cases like even more engaged was really inspiring, and it really set the stage for the way that I now approach things. You weren't just coming together for the sake of being able to say like, oh, I went to this conference. It was like, we're coming together so that we can actually think about what can we do with the access and whatever tools we have at our disposal. And if we bring them together, what more can we do? And once we leave here, what are we going to do next? I've devoted the last decade of my life to, you know, having as light of a footprint as possible and also to help others to do the same. The thing with natural dyeing specifically is that it's a really amazing interdisciplinary tool. You can take natural dyeing into the classroom and teach them science. You can teach them math. You can teach them basically anything through the avenue of natural dyes because, again, natural dyes are rooted in that same textile world where everything converges together. It can feel like we are solely responsible for fixing the things that we care deeply about. And it's hard when you can't, and it sucks when you can't. That doesn't mean that we are absolved of trying and that we are absolved of putting in any effort. There are still things that we can do within our power, and so I think the more that we know, the better decisions we can make, the more we can, you know, based on our personal circumstances, whatever compromises we have to make, we can make better compromises because we know better.